I very rarely watch government hearings. The only time I ever tune in is when something big happened and I'm trying to get the latest scoop on what the important information is and new developments. And every time without fail, I get nothing. Less than nothing. It's just perpetually dancing around questions without giving any real information whatsoever, and leaves me scratching my head wondering what was even the point of doing this in the first place. Whenever one of these hearings is going on, usually the person that's getting grilled doesn't actually respond most of the time. It's like talking to a stuffed animal when you're a kid expecting a response, but you get nothing. That's how these go most of the time. And the best example was the most recent one with the Secret Service director. After the assassination attempt on Trump, the Secret Service director has been catching a lot of heat and was brought in front of big government to get fed that government cheese. And they were laying into her, asking a lot of questions about the Secret Service. And she just sat there like a fucking statue, giving non-answers. Like, I can't even put the word answer in the same sentence as what her tactic was. It was a complete waste of time. Now, since that hearing, the Secret Service director has resigned. That is a new development. That's a big breaking story there, which absolutely seems for the best, all things considered, especially after this hearing, where they just truly seem inept and can't even answer the most basic questions. Like, they would lose points on their SAT for not writing their name because they just refused to. Like, if one of the government officials had asked the Secret Service director how many fingers they were holding up, she would have probably refused to answer. Like, getting led by someone like that doesn't seem to be optimal. But I just need to show you how bad this hearing was, and I didn't watch the whole thing. Maybe there were some parts that were better than others, but holy shit, like, the most direct questions could not elicit a direct answer or even a semblance of an almost answer. What? It was infuriating. The Forbes video basically covers it. Is this an actual good breakdown?
That's Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Mr.
Request failed because of no network connection. What the fuck is up with the
Jordan from Ohio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, were you guessing or lying? The day after President Trump is shot, see assets for Mr. Trump's detail. So which is it? Because both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
I'll wait till later.
Sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what those statements don't.
As far as requests.
Well, maybe they got tired of asking. Maybe you turned them down.
This guy has a voice of like every background character in a Ubisoft open world game. I don't know who this is, but every time he speaks, all I hear is like an NPC like, "Hey, watch where you're going." He literally sounds like that fucking stock voice actor that does those.
And you turned him down. What they asked for and how many times did you turn them down? Pretty basic questions.
So again, without having all of the details in front of me, sir, what I can tell you is that there are times...
You didn't get briefed.
This is going fucking nowhere. This is going like legitimately nowhere. All of these fucking conferences and hearings seem to be absolutely worthless. Like legitimately worthless.
It's very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay.
That wasn't a yes. Should have said yes.
Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter? Yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes.
Colossal
failure is the question.
How big?
I didn't see this today.
That's Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, were you guessing or lying? The day after President Trump is shot, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said, quote, "The assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false." The next day, Secretary Mayorkas said, "That is an unequivocally false assertion. We had not received any request for additional security measures that were rebuffed." But 5 days later, the Washington Post said this: "Top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Donald Trump's security detail for more personnel."
Chat. Yesterday, I'm gonna be honest with you, chat, on stream, I had a moment, okay, where everything started making sense, chat, and I feel like now I'm like almost red-pilled about the media. Chat, I'm almost like black-pilled about the media. When I saw the reporting of that fucking like boiling water, whatever my take was, I don't give it, irrelevant. The way that they're describing the events is so bad faith. At this point, I'm pretty sure that they are manually hoping to cause riots. Like, I'm telling you, I feel like they are all doing it on purpose. It has to be.
Next day,
it
the
has
New York
to.
Times said this: Mr. Guglielmi acknowledged that the Secret Service had turned down some requests for additional federal security.
The reporting is so disingenuous, right? That one thing would be really, 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 really bad. It would be out of the world bad. And the one would be really bad, right? One could really fucking cause a riot, and the other one, not so much. But they report in a way that makes it look unfucking unearthly evil because of deliberate false reporting. And that's insane.
Assets for Mr. Trump's detail. So which is it? Because both statements can't be true.
Hold on. Which one? Hold on. So it says, A black up on YouTube. We give it the certificate. Which one? Show me. I actually want to see.
Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what were you doing? Because those statements don't jive.
So what I can tell you is that for the event in Butler, there were no requests that were denied. As far as requests...
Well, maybe they got tired of asking. Maybe you turned them down so darn much, they said, not worth asking. How many times did you turn them down ahead of that?
I think that it is important to distinguish between what some people may view as a denial of an asset or a request.
Well, is Mr. Guglielmi your spokesperson? He said he acknowledged the Secret Service had turned down some requests. I'm asking how many?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
Well, tell me what it is.
There are a number of ways that threats and risks can be mitigated with a number of different assets, whether that be through personnel, whether that be through technology, or other resources.
Well, tell the committee which it was. They asked for additional help in some form or another. You told them no. How many times did you tell them no, and what did you tell them no to?
Again, I cannot speak to specific incidents, but I can tell you in general terms,
Yeah, no, she resigned,
the
yeah.
Secret Service is judicious with their resources based on...
What does some requests mean? How many times? Some indicate requests is plural. So more than once they asked for additional help and you turned them down. What did they ask for and how many times did...
Chat, here's an actual hot take. I feel it's not even a hot take actually. I feel like people that hold these positions, okay, unfortunately they shouldn't be allowed to have the post if they aren't good in public speaking, if they aren't charismatic and know how to translate the information to people, if they aren't good at calming the masses and giving them enough order, if they aren't a good communicator and can't pop off on a fucking thing like that, they shouldn't have the role. They shouldn't have
some
it.
requests mean? How many times? Some indicate requests is plural.
She's doing
so
fine,
more
she's
than
not,
once
though.
they asked for additional help and you turned them down. What did they ask for and how many times did you turn them down? Pretty basic questions.
So again, without having all of the details in front of me, sir, what I can tell you is that there are times...
You didn't get briefed on how many times you turned down the Trump detail when they asked for additional
I know
help?
she's a fall person.
I'm sorry.
You didn't get briefed on that before you came to this hearing, knowing you were going to get asked that question?
What I can tell you is that in generic terms, when details make a request, there are times that there are alternate ways to cover off on that threat or that risk.
But that's not what he said. He said they were denied certain requests, some requests. This is your spokesperson, not me talking. This is the Secret Service talking. And what a change from absolutely false, unequivocally false to, oh, by the way, there were some times where we didn't give them what they wanted. That's a huge change in 5 days. And the fact that you can't answer how many times you did that, that's pretty darn frustrating, not just for me, but for the country.
I hear your frustration.
Let me ask you this. Were any of those requests denied to President Trump's detail after you knew about the Iranian threat?
What I can tell you...
Well, you're saying that she's not allowed to speak about it, but at the same time, I mean, they did subpoena them, which I don't know how. You know what? I'm not gonna say it like I know. I don't even know how that works. If they have a top secret thing for like national security and they get subpoenaed, which one wins who wins? Who wins that?
Again, I don't know the
What
specifics.
document
is
wins?
that there are times when we can fill a request. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a Secret Service asset or resource. We can fill that request with locally available assets.
You spoke to anyone at the White House since July 13th?
Yes, I have.
Who'd you talk to?
I have briefed the President and the Vice President.
Talk to the First Lady?
Okay, I signed a document saying this is for national security. I'm not allowed to say how many officers we use at a rally, so that if somebody were to map it out and then we say 50, and he sees like 50 people, he knows where everybody's at, and he can make a decision on where he's going to attack from or whatever, so that you can't say that in any capacity. But then you get subpoenaed and they say, you have to go to court and or a hearing or whatever, and you absolutely have to release this information based on this subpoena. And subpoenas are, I mean, legally binding or whatever. So which document wins? The subpoena that asks for information or the national security request of you not to say anything? Who wins then?
No, I have not.
Talk to the White House staff? Anyone in the White House communications?
No, I have not.
Have you talked to the counter sniper who took the shot that took out the bad guy?
Nobody in the categories.
Yes, I
It's
have.
like 50-50, you know.
And can you tell us about that conversation?
I would not want to reveal conversations that I've had with my
So
employees.
there's things that we
That's
don't know.
exactly the kind of information the American people want to know. American people who pay your salary.
I understand. This is an ongoing investigation, and I
Who's
want-
all doing the investigating at Secret Service? I know the Inspector General, but is there also an internal investigation in addition to the Inspector General?
We are conducting a mission assurance investigation internally, yes.
You know what it looks like, Director? It looks like you won't answer some pretty basic questions. It looks like you got a 9% raise and you cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet. A former president, likely the guy who's going to be the next president. Looks like you guys were cutting corners. That's what it looks like to me. Is that true?
I am here today because I want to answer questions, but I also want to be cautious.
You might want to, but you haven't answered. I don't think you've answered one question from the chairman, the ranking member, or me. Well, we got a lot of other people asking. We'll see if your record improves. But right now, you haven't answered, I don't think, any questions. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes Ms. Norton from Washington, D.C.
I don't know how that works. I don't know what is the amount of security that they give to a candidate compared to the president. Because they're both candidates, right? In a certain way. When they're going around as candidates, they should have almost the same amount, no?